Welcome to my channel. Today, I will try to explain to you about the concept of EPEX upcoming comeback. Part 1. Prelude of Anxiety and Prelude of Love. During Prelude of Anxiety, we witnessed how powerful EPEX are in delivering such a strong concept that showcases the bipolarity of emotions people feel during the pandemic. But, is the song Lockdown really just about the existing pandemic during their debut, or is it something else? On their first comeback with Prelude of Love, we are perplexed on how does their debut album connect with their comeback album when it's a cute and colorful concept. We thought it is just about confessing your love into someone, but is it really just that? Considering the multiple signs of spookiness and questionable things around them in Do For Me MV. Part 2. 20th Century Boys and 21st Century Boys. On March 14th, EPEX announced about their comeback with their third EP album called Prelude of Anxiety Chapter 1, 21st Century Boys. At first, I thought their comeback will be based on the 21st Century Boys manga by Naoki Urasawa, but there is actually a root of this manga that is still written by him, and it is called 20th Century Boys. The manga is all about the group of friends who were just playing in the past and wrote a comic book of game to save the humankind from the alienation. The comic book was called The Book of Prophecy because one day after 30 years, everything that is written in that book came into reality.
ロンドンを襲いました。次に彼らが細菌をばらまいたのは1970年万博で有名な大阪です。日本中が恐怖に震え上がりました。そして悪の組織の次の狙いは羽田空港でした。東京は逃げ場のない恐怖を味わうこととなりました。しかし本当の恐怖はこれからなのです。
A cult was formed by a person with a distinctive mask. It has the symbol of an eye inside the index finger pointing above, all inside in another eye. He is called Friend. All Friend wants is to destroy the humankind and be seen as the god of the world. And the storyline run with Kenji's group finding out who Friend is. Part 3 to 1984 by George Orwell. This novel has a movie too, and it talks about the dystopian world setting of the characters. Dystopia is an imagined state or society in which there is great suffering or injustice, typically one that is totalitarian or post-apocalyptic. The storyline focuses on the propaganda the Big Brother has done to their state or country. Everyone should always obey the government or Big Brother's rules. Because the posters and telescreen of Big Brother is watching you are all over the places that serves as surveillance cameras. INGSOC is the acronym of English Socialism, that is a political ideology of the totalitarian government of Oceania in George Orwell's dystopian novel 1984. INGSOC's objective is to ensure the collective well-being of all of Oceania's people through revolutionary socialism, and it supports doublethink. Doublethink is a process of indoctrination whereby the subject is expected to simultaneously accept two mutually contradictory beliefs as correct, often in contravention to one's own memories or sense of reality. Now, let's go to the story. Winston Smith is the main protagonist in the novel, and he hasn't completely accepted the party, and he believes in the unalterable past and finds party politics reprehensible. Winston wishes for privacy, intimacy, freedom, and love, but cannot openly express these thought crimes for fear of imprisonment and death. At the Ministry of Truth, it is a place where people gather to sit and watch for a daily routine and curse the party's enemy, which is Goldstein. That routine is called 2-minute hate. One day, during the 2-minute hate, Julia showed up and secretly handed Winston a piece of paper as declaration of her love for him. They both started and continued to meet in secret where nobody can see, because the party forbids any form of relationship without the approval of the tenants of INGSOC. Then another character was introduced, and it is Mr. O'Brien. He is a member of Inner Party, which are the group of educated and rich people that are somehow free to turn off the telescreen. Winston admires O'Brien so much that he thinks O'Brien is also a member of the underground movement of rebels against the party. But it was all a lie. O'Brien turned out to be working in the Ministry of Love, which is the prison where people who tried on violate the rules will be tortured. Winston and Julia was captured separately and tortured until they got brainwashed by it. After Winston and Julie got released, they no longer love each other and barely see each other outside. At the end of the novel, the scene is Winston is sitting on his favorite spot in a cafe where he drinks gin and plays a chess game by himself. Upon hearing the news that Oceania has successfully won the war against the Eurasia, he looked at the poster of Big Brother in front of him at the wall and started to cry. He was right. White always mates, and he loved Big Brother. Part 4. Connecting the Dots. The 20th Century Boys and 1984 are kind of similar because they both shows the anti-totalitarian behavior of the protagonists. In 20th Century Boys, Naoki Urasawa used friend as the symbol of totalitarianism, while in the 1984 novel by George Orwell, he used the Ingsoc Party to represent the totalitarianism. Also, these stories are both supports the use of doublethink. Doublethink is a process of indoctrination whereby the subject is expected to simultaneously accept two mutually contradicting beliefs as correct. In 20th Century Boys, Friend formed a cult which believes that Kenji, who is the protagonist of the story, is the villain, even if it's the other way around. While in 1984, it's very similar as brainwashing or mind controlling the people to believe in a very contradicting sense of reality. Now, let's talk about its connection to EPEX's concept. First, Big Brother was already mentioned in EPEX's debut song, Lockdown. Next is the formation of their arms, and their choreography is similar with the people during the 2-minute hate in the 1984. Big Brother was actually already been shown in EPEX leader film. At the end of the video you can see someone is watching the telescreens. And in 1984, Big Brother used telescreen to monitor their people. Next, in the 2-minute hate in 1984, they have a chant that is kind of similar with the chorus of Go Big. Lastly, this is the most interesting part. The novel 1984 was published on June 8, 1949, and EPEX debut date was also on June 8, 2021. Now in Do For Me era, these are what I've noticed. First, this quotation appeared in the music video saying, "White King always mates." It is very similar with what Winston Smith has said in the novel 1984 by George Orwell. And this comeback, the said quotation appeared again. Going back with Do For Me MV, and basing from the 1984 novel, these are what I interpreted. In this picture, a Min is looking outside while the other members are not. In order to understand it clearly, let's say a Min represents Winston Smith, and here he is looking outside of the box because he is finally self-aware. Next is the scene where a Min is whispering to Wish that, as I interpret it, Wish represents O'Brien, who Winston admired a lot in the novel. But here's the thing, Baeksung is actually watching a Min through a device which we can also remind of the telescreen from the 1984 novel. So there's a possibility that Baeksung is the friend or the Big Brother. Considering also the mask he is wearing and the way he sits on the building shows how big he is metaphorically. Finally, the resemblance of the eye symbol from 1984 until the comeback individual poster. To end this video, here's another hint for the upcoming comeback. The victory logo in EPEX's clothes and flea concept is similar to the logo of Ingsoc. Now, considering the ending of the novel 1984, will EPEX succeed in rebelling against Big Brother? Or will they get brainwashed again in the Ministry of Love or get completely erased from the records? Let's find out on EPEX comeback on April 11th.